right, so let's get started. All ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yay! Okay, we're gonna start with the pork loin. Here's the pork loin I have. I'm gonna tilt you down just a bit so you can see the cutting board. Can you see the cutting board? There we go. Oh boy, I know. All right, so this is a 4-pound pork loin. 4 pounds. Vicki, hello from OKC. Now, that being said, some of you, hello, Gail from sunny, cool Chicago. Well, it's not cool in Texas. Good morning, Rose. All right, so remember that there's a difference. I've said this before, but I just want to make sure we revisit for new folks. There's a difference between a pork tenderloin and a pork loin. They come from different parts of the pig, right? And so the pork tenderloin is usually very thinner, very thin looking, or sometimes when you open it up, it's like two, right? Two together. More expensive because it's a more tender cut of meat, and it doesn't take as long to cook. Whereas a pork loin is a tougher cut of meat, which is why it's traditionally cheaper. I got this on sale. So this was $5. $5. When these are on sale, I usually buy a whole bunch and shove them in the freezer. And so, because all about saving some dough or saving some pork. I don't know. Anyway, if you are cooking for 6 or 8, then a 4 or a 5 pound pork loin is perfect for you. Well, I'm not cooking for that many. And according to our poll, a good many of you are not cooking for that many either. If you are cooking for that many, leave it whole. If you are not cooking for that many, if you are cooking for 4 or less, then you will do what I do, okay? Now, I took this out of the package. I did give it a rinse. I don't normally, but I did, and patted it dry, okay? So that being said, if you want to cut off some of the fat on the top, if you've got a whole lot of fat on the top of your pork loin, you certainly can do that. It isn't necessary. Leftovers are great. And wait till you see this, Joanne. I made this at for a dinner party we had years ago, and everybody was like, ooh, oh, ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna take my pork loin, I'm gonna cut it in half, okay? Half. There we go. And so I'm just gonna cut straight down the halfway part. Now, the great thing about this is, let's say there's 4 of you, maybe you cut it in half, and this is, or 2 of you, whatever. This is great for your dinner, and maybe you take the other half and you cut it in pork chops. And so then for $5, you got 4 meals basically. I mean, because you could, or 2 meals. So there you go. All right, so I've cut it in half. I'm gonna put 1 half over here, and I will deal with this in a bit. Now, the other thing I have is sausages. Look at these. These are called Country Boy sausage. Smoked sausage made with pork, beef, and garlic. You can use whatever kind you have. If you don't have individual sausages like this, you could also use like a ring of pork sausage and just cut it to fit. And so this is what I want. Can you see down here? I want a sausage that's about the size of the part that I cut, my half. If you were doing the whole, you could either do 2 halves or you could do a whole and you could do one of those. But anyway, because this is gonna go inside. It's gonna go inside. Okay, but how do we get it in there? Now, some people, and probably the prettiest way would be to take your pork loin, the best sausage, I know, to take your pork loin and then take like a fillet knife, which this is not, this is a paring knife, a long paring knife, but like a fillet knife or a paring knife and cut in, right? That being said, I would probably cut myself, so I'm not doing that. I'm gonna turn this on its side. Okay, so this is what I'm calling the top, where the fat is. The fat layer is what I'm calling the top. That'll be the bottom, and then obviously the sides, okay? So I'm gonna set this, although it's, defrosted, so there you go. What kind of knife do you use? I have a sharp knife, so I'm gonna use my sharp knife. If you don't have like a sharp butcher knife, something like this, go find your bread knife. Because I bet in your kitchen, if you don't have one of these, or it's not particularly sharp, this is your next best bet for sharpness. And so you could go get that, okay? All right, so that being said, I'm gonna cut, well, I just did a little line. All right, I'm not gonna go all the way through. This sounds really, okay, perhaps I should just show you. Okay, so from the sides, I'm gonna cut, but not all the way across. Okay, watch this, see? Look at that. So I've almost butterflied it, right? You see how I cut, but not all the way through, okay?
Hello, my name is Porky.
Okay, so not all the way out. Then I'm gonna take my knife and just do a little slit. Again, not all the way through, but I just kind of want to open that pork up on both sides of the halves, right? So that our sausage has a place to go. Oh, our sausage is gonna have a lovely place to go right in there, okay? Now, we're gonna take our sausage. Normally, I would say just stick it in. The problem is, what happens with sausages sometimes? They burst. Why? Because they're so excited. They're so excited. But if you've ever put a sausage on the grill or in the skillet, you notice that sometimes they burst and through the skin. Well, we don't want any bursting going on. Heaven forbid. So I'm just gonna take my knife. You can take a fork, but I'm just gonna poke a few holes in my sausage only because I don't want it to burst. But you know what that means? Is sausage juice. Sausage goodness will come into my pork loin. I know. Good morning, Joan. Okay, so what do? We cut our 4-pounder in half. So I have a 2-pounder. Then we cut on the side, kind of butterflied it open, not all the way through though. And then we just did 2 little slits on both sides. Now we take our sausage and we're just gonna put the sausage right there on the slit and then on this side, okay? Now, I know it's not gonna close all the way, right? There you go.
Hello.
Yummy, yellow yummy, I know, yummy. All right, but it'll be fine. Okay, now, what are we gonna do with this? Yum. I'm gonna pull this over just a bit. Okay, ick. Ick, ick, and more ick. You know how I am with my hands. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Okay, now, then we have to season, because we need to season this. Hey, Mary, good morning. All right, so I have a bowl. Jealous, Joanne? Jealous of my bowl? All right, now I'm gonna make a little rub. And a little rub. No, that's something else. That is not a rub, okay? And I've got quite a few things to put in my rub. If you don't have all these things, they're all not necessary. You could go with, you could say, okay, her seasoning is fine, but I'm just gonna use like some Tony Chachere's, or I have a seasoning mix I like. And that's fine too, but I always wanna give you some suggestions, okay? So I've got my measuring spoons. The first thing we're gonna start with is a tablespoon of salt. A tablespoon, Cindy, oh yes. Okay, tablespoon of salt. We're gonna put in a teaspoon of pepper. Pepper for your poppycock. Okay, pepper. Then we're gonna do, back to the tablespoon, granulated garlic or garlic powder. Granulated garlic or garlic powder, whatever you got, okay? A whole tablespoon. I know, equal parts of salt and garlic because it is Cindy's kitchen, right? It is. All right. The next 2 things won't surprise you at all. Where's my tablespoon again? Teaspoon. Okay, a teaspoon of smoked paprika. Of course, you're putting smoked paprika in there, Cindy. I know. Smoked paprika. This might freak you out just a little bit. Let's move down to the half teaspoon. Half teaspoon. We're gonna put dried mustard. Do you have dried mustard? If you don't worry about it, and don't sniff too hard. Because it'll get you, right? Hey, Vicki from New Hampshire, good to see you. But this is gonna give us just a little kick on the inside, okay? And then, this will freak you out. How long are spices good for? Do you know that spices don't go bad? They never go bad, but they do lose their potency. So that means that if you got spices as a wedding present 30 years later, probably should toss those puppies out. If they're dried herbs, a lot of times you can take them and rub them in your hands, and the oil from your hands and the rubbing will release some more of that. Dried and powdered, I don't know. After a couple of years, maybe it's time to start over. Okay, here's the one that's gonna kind of freak you out. Cinnamon. Yes, I'm using my Saigon cinnamon. Cinnamon? Oh yes. It's not gonna make it sweet. I know that we always associate cinnamon, we don't always, but a lot of times, oh my gosh, we associate cinnamon with sweet. Not so. Cinnamon is actually, it gives it a nice little kick. A lot of Asian recipes and Thai, Thai is kind of Asian, but a lot of those have cinnamon in them, and they're just to die for. Your favorite cinnamon, I know. Okay, we're just gonna give that a mix. It's a pretty color. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, there you go. See, I didn't need this big of a bowl, but I wanted to kind of tease Joanne that I was using her sunburst. Okay, put the spices in a mason jar. They last forever. Well, it is the air that makes them go a little yah-yah. Okay, now, we're gonna take our spices. You know what I'm gonna do first? Nope, we'll do this first. Okay, I'm just gonna put some in my hand. Look at that. Or you can see, right? Okay, and then I'm gonna go all across here. Now I did pat this dry. If you patted it dry and it's too dry, you could always put a little oil on it so that it would stick. I'm gonna flip this. Oh, the sausage came out. The other reason, this is so bad, but the other reason I didn't make the hole in the middle, other than I knew I would cut myself, and then try to put the sausage inside. Some of you have dirty minds, and I just could not imagine the little comments that would come out. I told you today was gonna be a messy day, and in fact it is. I already have another cutting board. Look at that. Look at that. A pound of bacon slightly overlapping.
Bacon, bacon, bacon.
So cool, right? There it is. Okay. So, this is bacon and bacon and bacon. Pork and pork and pork. Okay, ready? All right, now, so this is, like I said, an entire pound of bacon and taken out of the package because it's overlapped too much in the package. So this is overlapped, but not as much, so that you get it, a big piece, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put this fat side up. There's my fat side. My fat side up. No, sorry, okay. Put that down. All right, now, here we go. The Baconator. I know, isn't this the greatest thing ever? Okay, I'm going to pull this up just a bit and fold this in. It's almost like we're wrapping a present. And I say that because I am awful, I tell you. Thin, although it doesn't matter. Oh, wait, I did it wrong. If you're following along, stop. Hold on. I don't want my fat side up. I want my fat side down, and I'll explain in a second. Fat side down. Okay, now we do it. All right, so we're folding this, and then just these little sides, just a little bit in, okay? Then we're coming on this side. See, that's why you want your bacon, your sheet o' bacon to be a little longer than whatever you've cut. And then this comes up. This comes up like this. Now you notice that it's not wrapping all the way over. You can stretch the bacon because this is the thin bacon. So you can stretch the bacon so that it goes all the way over, but it isn't necessary. And I'm gonna show you why in just 1 second. Okay, I need 6 hands. All right, can you take the lid off of that? Okay, up, Simba, up. I should have stretched it a little bit more, shouldn't I? Okay, that's okay. Now I'm gonna flip it. You ready? Flipping. I'm just gonna roll it. I'm not gonna flip. Oh, look at that. Can you see that? Can you see? Wait, let me come this way. Do you see? Look at my hands. Ah, gross. Okay, you're gonna need a big pot. Now, I know you're gonna go, where's the Polish pottery? I can do this in Polish pottery, and I have done it, but this is very heavy. It's a Dutch oven, and it's like heavy, and the lid fits on really good, and so this is what I'm using. Okay, I'm gonna set this right here, and then I didn't spray it or anything, but I do have one onion that I've sliced. Look at that, sliced onion, okay? So I'm going to shove this direction. Ugh, can you see now? Okay, so then I didn't spray it. If you feel like you need to spray it, this is why I'm not spraying it. I know, is this awesome? The reason I'm not spraying this is because there will be juice from the bacon. There will be juice from the pork loin. There will be juice from the sausage. It's gonna be so awesome. Why do I put onions on the bottom? Okay, here's 2 reasons. The first reason is it's a nice bed for our pork to lay on. We don't want our pork to be uncomfortable, do we? No, we want it to have a nice little bed to lay on. And so we do that. The other thing is good flavor. The onion flavor, remember everything's gonna be sealed up. So all the onion is good in here. All right, now I am gonna reach in here and do just a little bit more salt, just because salt makes our onions release their liquid. All right, now here we go. We're just gonna pick this up. I know I rolled it, but we're gonna pick it up and set it on our bed of onion. This is 2 pounds, so that would be 40 minutes. Now here's what we're gonna do. 325, and I'm going to, and I'm gonna put that big heavy lid, except I can't reach it now, hold on. Oh, big heavy lid on here. And I'm gonna bake it for 40 minutes at 325. Then I'm gonna take the lid off and I'm gonna cook it for probably another 15 minutes because I want the bacon to have an opportunity to brown up and do a little crispy thing. Okay, so for those of you who are late, what did we do? We took a pork tenderloin, a 4-pounder. We cut it in half because we're only gonna do 2 pounds. We can either do 2 of these, or we could cut that into pork chops, whatever we wanna do, okay? Then we cut it in half, but not all the way through, butterflied it open, did another slit on both sides, put a yummy piece of sausage, a sausage link that we pierced so it wouldn't burst inside the pork. We closed the pork up, we covered it with our secret blend of herbs and spices, although there really was no herbs, just spices. Anyway, our spices all around it. Then we laid out a pound of bacon in a beautiful sheet. We laid down our pork loin fat side down, because that's gonna end up being fat side up, fat side down. We enveloped our sausage covered pork loin in a sheet of bacon. And then we rolled it over so that fat side is up, and we laid it on a blanket of onions, sliced onions. Look, ta-da! There we go. All right, so oven is preheated, 325. Tight fitting lid and or foil. I know, come on over. Tight lidding fid. A tight fitting lid or foil. Remember, when we cook things with lids or foils, we want to keep all that liquid in, because all that heat in. We want everything cooking. Then we're gonna cook for this 4-pounder, 20 minutes a pound. We're gonna cook it for 40 minutes. Then I'm gonna take the lid off and cook it for another 15 minutes. Cindy, we just did with the lid on. But now I want my bacon to brown up. Not only will my bacon start to crisp, but my sauce will thicken a bit because I've taken the lid off. Cool, huh? Okay, in we go. Ooh. Okay, but Cindy, you've made a big mess. Well, yes, I have. Thank you very much. You've made a big old mess. Now are we done? Are we done for the day? Well, we could be done for the day, but you know, I think not. I think not. Here's what we're gonna do. What else would we serve with that dish? Well, Joanne, let me tell you. Come on down. I've got my little bean, I call this my bean baker, although I make potatoes in here too. We're gonna make some baked beans. Now, I know you need a lid too, or you can either do a lid or you can do foil again too, although you don't have to. I know that you can go to the store and buy a can of baked beans. I know that you didn't used to could. You had to start from the pork and beans. But now, of course, you can go and buy a can of baked beans. That being said, why on earth would you bake beans if you could just buy them? I don't know. Why would you buy anything if you could make it and it would taste better? I'm just saying. Why use a cake mix versus a homemade cake, right? So there you go. Pork and beans, get it? Yeah, we're having pork and beans using pork and beans. Come on, this is fun. We're having fun. All right, now, I'm going to put some bacon in here. Normally, you would go to your skillet and you would fry a couple of pieces of bacon. You don't want them all the way crispy. You just want them like halfway fried. But I don't want to make a mess, and I didn't want to go over here. So here's what I did. I cut, although the paper towel is now sticking to that. I took 3 pieces of bacon and I cut them in thirds and laid them out on a paper plate. Can you believe it? Cindy's mouth doesn't work today. A paper plate. I'm covering it with a paper towel. I'm going to stick it in the microwave. A minute and a half. In we go. Okay. A minute and a half. Whilst the bacon is microwaving. Ooh, I know it's kind of off humor, isn't it? Hello, Jan. Jan, you must watch the replay. You must watch the replay. We did pork on pork on pork. Pork cubed. We did a sausage enveloped in a pork loin, enveloped in a sheet of bacon. Oh, so good. All right, now we're doing the beans. We're having pork and beans, using pork and beans. All right, so here we go. I have a 26-ounce can. Now, obviously, if you're feeding a whole lot of people, maybe you need a bigger can of pork and beans. But I have found that this size is really good for a family of 3 or 4, okay? It depends on, I guess, how much you like or do not like beans. It's a porkapalooza. I love that, Gail. Porkapalooza. Okay, so there we go. I need a spoon-ish. We'll just use this. La. Okay, so there are our beans. They look fine, but I mean, they're just pork and beans. Has anybody had beans on toast? Because, you know, I used to watch a whole bunch of British shows, you know, that kind of TV. And, hey, Heather, you must watch the replay. Anyway, and they always eat beans on toast. Have you ever made beans on toast? I haven't tried it. But, you know, during the war, they didn't have a lot of meat, so beans on toast. And then, you know, if your childhood was beans on toast, then as you get older, you eat beans on toast. And so probably kids today have no idea why people are eating beans on toast, because they've never been without meat. But there we go. Okay. Oh, that's hot. There we go. Look at that. A minute and a half. There's our bacon. Y'all, setting it right there. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to do. You ready? You ready? I know you can make these. You know how to make these. Where is my measure? Oh, here we go. Okay. Here is a half a cup. Now, you may say this is too much, and that's okay. That's okay. If you want to use a quarter cup, by all means, do. But you know me, not a little bit. Cindy likes a lot. Half a cup of brown sugar. Light brown sugar or dark brown sugar, you say. It doesn't matter. Just whatever you got. I lived in England. It was awesome. Beans on toast. You know, Lisa, I really should have beans on toast. Maybe I'll have leftover baked beans on toast. That probably won't be the same thing, but there you go. So I did half of a cup of brown sugar. That being said, if you want to use a fourth of a cup, if you're going, Cindy, way too much sugar, that's fine. Now, you saw that I cut up an onion, so obviously I have onions in my house. But normally what you would do is you would saute your bacon in the skillet. See, there's my little bacon. I'm just gonna dump that in there. Oh, come apart. See how it's not all the way, oh, that's stuck together. Ow, it's not, ow, it's hot. It's not all the way done, but it's enough, okay? It's stuck together. There we go. You can chop it in smaller pieces if you want. I think it's like the prize. You've had a green bean sandwich. I've never had a green bean sandwich. I always like to leave the bacon a little bigger because to me, it's like the prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box. Woohoo! I'm eating the beans and I got the bacon. Okay, so we have a big ol' 28-ounce can of pork and beans. Pork and beans, any kind is fine. Half a cup of brown sugar, light or dark, or if that's too much, a quarter cup, but you need some in here, okay? Now, we're gonna need, oh, I was saying about the onion. I sliced up an onion, so obviously I have an onion, but how I would do that is I would saute my bacon, take my bacon out, and then I would saute my onion in the bacon juice, because you know we don't call it grease. Juice, bacon juice. I didn't do that because I cheated in the microwave. Therefore, I'm cheating with the onions. So it's homemade baked beans with some quickies. Not a quick. There's too many bad things we could be thinking today with the meat and the rolling and the, no. Okay, so I'm just using some minced onions. See, look, minced onions. Oh, where's my measuring? And I'm gonna use a whole tablespoon. I'm pouring. There we go. Whole tablespoon of minced onion. Yum, yum, yum. Now, then you gotta add some Worcestershire. I saw a great meme the other day. Okay, so any of you who watch Lord of the Rings, right? It had a picture of the Shire and it said, it was the best of Shires. It was the best of Shires. It was the Worcestershire. I'm gonna the best of Shires, the worst of Shires. I thought it was really funny. Funny, I tell you. Okay, I guess I'll measure. I don't ever measure, I just do this. But I'm gonna put in a tablespoon of Worcestershire. A tablespoon of Worcestershire. Yum. Okay, and then we're gonna need a tablespoon, and I'm not squirting this in because then I'd have to use my finger to get it out. A tablespoon of yellow mustard. Now, if you don't, some people didn't use yellow mustard, and you may be going, because what would happen is, in an older recipes, you would use dry mustard, like we did on our rub. You would use dry mustard, but then you would add some vinegar, okay? If you use yellow mustard, you get the dry mustard and you get the vinegar all in one. All in one, I tell you. We're skipping a step or an ingredient or whatever, okay? So now, a tablespoon, you can use Dijon mustard, but really, I like the of this. Now, I could leave it just like this, and this is a little slice I have it. You gotta stir, because you want the mustard all gone. I mean, not gone, but you know, you don't want it to look gross. Look, I'm not gonna show you until I mixed it. I don't want you to go, that looks gross. Hold on, I'm gonna taste. Oh, it already tastes lovely. It already tastes lovely. Now, that could be that, right? Because this is perfect. Try brown mustard. I've used brown mustard. I just, again, I don't know. I like this because it's got that tang. Okay, hold on 1 second. Be right back. Coming. Don't leave. I've made such a mess today. Now, we could leave it just at that because that's perfect. That's perfect baked beans. But I bought this whole thing of sausage. This whole thing of sausage is here. And so, I'm cutting that little end off. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. Because, you know, you should use up what you got. And so I'm going to cut up little half moons of a sausage. And then we have pork and beans. We have pork. Because really, is there? Okay, there we go. Yum. Okay. Da-da-da-da. So now we have bacon and sausage in our pork and beans. Oh, it's pork and beans. Okay? Ta and da. Look at that. Look at that. Good morning, Alice. How awesome. Lid on. 350 degrees. I cook them for, I don't know, if I'm in a hurry, 30 minutes. Really? Because everything's done in here. We didn't put anything raw in here. And really, we're just trying to get all of our flavors to meld together. So 350, I know. Well, I'm not wasting sausage, I assure you, Heather. I will have sausage and eggs. I will have sausage and pasta and sausage and rice and sausage and potatoes and sausage, because there's no such thing as bad sausage, right? So this will go in 350 degrees. I'm gonna do it for 30 minutes. If you have longer, that's fine. The longer that it cooks, the sauce gets a little thicker. It's fine at 30 degrees, or 30 minutes, 350 degrees. That being said, let's recap what we did. Let us recap. I'm sorry I can't taste. I feel bad, but I promise I will post pictures. So we took our pork tenderloin, our pork loin, not our tenderloin, right? It was half of this. This was started out as a 4-pound pork loin. We cut it in half. You can either do 2 of these or you can make pork chops out of this. We then took our knife and we cut it in half this way, but not all the way through because we butterflied it. We opened it up, did another little slice, and we took a sausage, and we put the sausage in the middle. We closed it back up. We made our spice rub. Oh, thank you, Doris. We made our spice rub. We rubbed our meat. We put the sausage in. It's so bad. It is so bad. We put the sausage, we rubbed the meat, then we made a sheet of bacon out of a pound of thin bacon. We laid it all out so it was just barely overlapping. We wrapped up our meat. I can't stop laughing. I'm so sorry. So naughty. Bad. Wrapped it all up, laid it on a bed of onions in our big Dutch oven with a tight-fitting lid, put it in at 325, 20 minutes per pound. I'm so awful. I'm so sorry. 20 minutes a pound. So for my 2-pound pork loin, just pulled your banana chocolate applesauce cake. Oh, it's so good. Oh, so good. I think I ate almost that whole thing, Judy. Anyway, then, I'm gonna cook mine for 40 minutes. Then I'm gonna take the lid off and cook for another 15 minutes to let my bacon brown up and get a little crispy. Then when you slice it, now when you take it out, let it set for about 15 minutes, okay? Let it set for about 15 minutes with the lid off, okay? Then you put it on your cutting board and then you can start cutting your slices. And so there's bacon on the outside, and then the perfectly cooked pork loin, and then in the very center is the sausage. Oh my goodness! And then on the side, we're gonna have pork and beans. Baked pork and beans. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I was really silly today. Share if there's anybody that you think might like to watch this goofy and silly person cook. And of course, don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. From my kitchen to your kitchen, may your day be filled with the loveliness of the pork. And make sure that you come back tomorrow. If you try this recipe, make sure you send me a picture. Love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow at 11. Bye-bye.